Hey guys, Chef Kendra here again. Today I'm going to show you a really cool and somewhat sciencey recipe. It makes a delicious dessert for springtime dinners, Easter, anytime you want something sweet, pretty, easily poppable. It's vegan, it's allergy free, and it's made from something crazy called Aquafaba. Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with Aquafaba, it's kind of this fancy term for the liquid in a can or a box of garbanzo beans. It has chemical properties that allow it to act kind of like an egg, or more specifically like an egg white. So we have used it. You can make chocolate mousse with it. You can use it as an egg replacer in any of your baked goods. But today I'm going to show you how to make meringues. These beautiful little classic desserts. They are light, they are fluffy, and they are always made with egg whites. But we are going to show you a really cool way to use this garbanzo bean liquid to make these delicious cookies. No one will ever know that the liquid is from a can of beans. So what you need is the liquid from the can of beans. You want basically about 3/4 cup. So I'm just gonna strain it out into my mixer. There we go. This is actually really best in a stand mixer. You can totally do it with a hand mixer, but you really need to whip these guys pretty stiff. So to be able to just turn on a switch and do other stuff for 4 or 5 minutes is pretty helpful. And then you have a can of beans that you can make hummus with. You can put it in a salad. It's kind of like a zero waste way to use garbanzo beans. All right, that looks great. So all you're gonna do is just whip that into submission for about 4 to 5 minutes. What you need to remember, if you've ever made meringues from egg whites, you need to be really crazy about how clean your bowl is, right? Like there can't be any little teeny bit of fat. You usually have to rinse it with vinegar to make sure all the fat is gone. The beautiful thing about the Aquafaba meringues is that you don't need to be that crazy about it. You don't really need to worry that much. So it is very helpful to not have to take that extra step. So we're just gonna turn this baby on for about 3 minutes until they're really loose peaks. And what that means is if you put a spoon in it, you just kind of lift it up and the peak goes a little bit like that. It won't stay straight up. So I'm gonna do that and show you what it looks like. I'll be right back. Okay, so this has been mixing for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, and they are nice, loose, medium peaks. So I'm going to now put it back on the stand mixer, turn it on low, and then sprinkle in the sugar. It's 2/3 cup of sugar, and then we're gonna turn it onto high and mix it for another 2 minutes or so until they're super stiff peaks, and when you lift it up with the spatula, it stays exactly where you put it. All right, so back onto high for another 1 to 2 minutes until it's super stiff peaks. All right, and then I'm gonna show you a really tricky little way to make your own piping bag. You don't need anything fancy, you don't need any fancy tips, just a regular old plastic bag and a scissors will help you get adorable little meringues. All right, so this is whipped to a beautiful stiff peak, and I'm gonna show you. It shouldn't move. Like, you should be able to turn it upside down and notice how nothing's coming out. It's not even moving. That's exactly what you want. So now what we're gonna do is split this into 2 parts. I am going to add some Enjoy Life mini chocolate chips to 1/2, and I'm going to add some freeze-dried raspberries that we pulsed until it was a beautiful powder and then sifted out the seeds. I'm gonna add that to the other half to make it a really pretty pink color. You guys, I still can't believe this actually works. This is amazing. This is from a can of chickpeas. I'm gonna do the raspberries first because the chocolate chips are heavier and they have a little fat in them. They weigh down your Aquafaba mixture a little bit, so I'm gonna leave that for the last part so it's not just sitting there. We are gonna add our raspberry powder. Now this, all you do is get freeze-dried raspberries, put it in a little mini food processor, pulse it or just turn it on until it's a beautiful powder. Careful when you open it because you'll inhale crazy raspberry powder. So open it away from your face and then put it through a sifter or put it through just like we used for the chickpeas. It's a little mesh sieve. You want to get the seeds out and you have this really beautiful pink powder and it makes the color like this. So I'm going to put some of that in there. We're gonna mix that baby up. Now, you just whipped a ton of air in there, so don't smash this down. You kind of want to fold it in real gently. Then for the next step, you need a pair of scissors, you need a quart-size plastic baggie, and you need a drinking glass. Now I am going to use a piping tip for this one. So you have your piping bag, right? And all you're going to do is put your tip in one corner. Just like that. And then you snip just a smidge of the end off. Fold it over and then put it inside a drinking glass. And then this is where you're gonna fill it. So this prevents it from like getting everywhere and falling over. It's a very easy way to add anything into a piping bag. So whether you're doing frosting or you're doing meringues, whatever you're doing, this should be your new jam. And then you're gonna grab a parchment lined sheet tray. You just fold it up like that. And then at the very top, you twist it, just like that. Okay, and you make these adorable little raspberry buttons. Now this is gonna bake at about 200 degrees for like 2 hours. So that's the worst part about making these, is that you really need to just let it hang out in an oven at a low temperature. I would recommend starting to check them at about hour and a half. You know, everyone's oven cooks differently. You might need to turn the tray to make sure the back is baking as the same as the front. So don't like set your timer for 2 hours and then, you know, go to a workout class for 2 hours. And to get that cute little peak, you just kind of want to lift your hand up. But again, if you don't have a piping tip, you don't need to use a piping tip. You can just cut a smaller hole at the top and squeeze it out like that. And you can see this makes a ton of these little guys, and this is just half of it. Okay, so I have the rest of the half here. We are going to sprinkle in some chocolate chips. Now again, unless you have a bigger hole on your tip, because these have the chocolate chips, you can't really use a small hole. So just cut a little end in your bag. Nothing too crazy. You can always cut more off if you need. So we've got our two trays. Like I said, I'm gonna put it in a 200-degree oven. We're gonna start with 90 minutes and check them at that point. And then just keep an eye on them after that. They're so light and they're so easily combustible, so you don't want them to be in the oven any longer than they need to be. They should look pretty dry. They should kind of slide on the tray. You know, if you give it a little shake, you'll know when they're done. Do not worry. So into the oven they go. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, so I've checked them a few times and they are now perfect. I'm gonna pull them out so you guys can see what they look like. Okay, they're so cute. There we go. You can see how they can kind of slide on the parchment. That's exactly what you want. They look nice and dry. They are adorable. We have some that we made earlier also, and I'm just gonna go ahead and eat one. They're like little angel kisses. They just melt in your mouth. They're so good. The raspberry ones are so delicious because they have this like beautiful, juicy raspberry flavor from that raspberry powder. So, I am fully convinced that you guys need to make these for pretty much every occasion when you have some time to cook them in the oven for 2 hours. They're just so fun. They're so easily poppable. They'll make everybody happy. So for more recipes like this with really fun inspiration for you in your kitchen, be sure to follow me on Instagram, Drizzle Kitchen. Stay tuned to more awesome videos on this YouTube channel.